Hi there. So I have great news. I'm pregnant again. Yay. We took us a little bit longer to tell people this time, primarily because we told more people last time than we normally would have, and it didn't work out so well. So we thought we might have jinxed ourselves. So we waited a little bit longer. But this morning I had a dating ultrasound. Everything looked good. The baby even gave me a little fist bump, which was great. So I do feel better about talking about it. So today I wanted to talk about morning sickness. I do not usually get morning sickness. I really won the genetic lottery there. So unfortunately, I cannot really help you if you're vomiting and feel like absolute garbage all day, every day. But my biggest problem is I do lose my appetite, especially when it comes to protein and the things that I should be eating. And I really crave all the things that I don't normally eat and feel as though that I shouldn't be eating. So things like bread and sugar. So I wanted to talk about what I try to do to manage it in case you are in that same situation and you're experiencing morning sickness, or you just also have a loss of appetite. So let's start with bread. Bread is one of those things that I don't usually keep in the house at all. Every once in a while, I'll have some at a restaurant or somewhere on a special occasion, but it's not something that I keep in the house. Unfortunately, when I'm pregnant, I could eat a whole loaf of it, and I also don't want to starve, so I do try to keep it around. The best bread that I think is good for you is sprouted grain bread. So most breads are going to have been grown in glyphosate, been sprayed with chemicals, are filled with vegetable oil. So that's all stuff that you really want to try to avoid during pregnancy. So when I'm pregnant, I usually try to get sprouted grain bread. Sourdough is the next best thing. You will find usually the sprouted grain bread in the freezer aisle just because it tends to go bad quicker. And it's really not as delicious. Some of it is. And actually, I've been experimenting with new sprouted grain breads, and there are a ton more than there used to be. Trader Joe's has really great fluffy bread. I don't know if it's as nutritious as like the Ezekiel that you'll get in the freezer section, but there are usually more options than there used to be. So to flavor it, sometimes I'll put, honestly, just butter after it's been in a toaster, or, peanut butter or something like that. But I could probably just eat it straight as well. So the next big thing that I usually want to incorporate in my diet, but can't, is protein. And I don't want to say can't, I mean, it's just harder because I have it, it's sitting in front of me, and I just don't want to eat it. But the biggest thing that's helped me is utilizing sauces that I don't always use. So like Pesto is one of my personal favorite sauces. I've made it myself several times, although that does get really expensive if you're just buying a whole bunch of pine nuts. You can make it with cashews, which is a little bit cheaper, but it does taste the best with like fresh basil and pine nuts. So I haven't made my own recently, but when I do buy it, I really want to make sure that it's being made with real olive oil rather than canola oil or sunflower oil or all of these really overly processed oils. One day soon, I'm really going to make a video because I talk about this a lot, about why you really want to avoid vegetable oils. But if you can find pesto with olive oil, to me, that's like heaven. So I could put that on anything and eat it. If you're more into tomato sauce or something like that, you could do that. Again, just obviously pay attention to the oils. I'm not a big sauce person in general, so pesto is kind of like really up there. The other thing that I really like to add that makes things a lot more appetizing is cheese. And I don't usually eat a lot of cheese either, but in this case, I do, especially if I'm able to eat protein. So I'll either melt some cheddar or use Parmesan. It's a bonus if you add nutritional yeast. Nutritional yeast has a ton of B vitamins and will make it taste a little bit cheesier. So that's something else that you can do for flavor. The next thing I'll talk about is fish. So fish, you'll get protein, but the other really important thing when it comes to fish is getting enough omega-3s. Now, usually I incorporate a lot of fish. I eat a lot of salmon, I eat sardines, much less appetizing when I'm in my first trimester. So first thing, when I eat less fish, I do make sure that I'm going to supplement. So I did get a really high quality omega-3 that I'm making sure that I supplement with morning and night. I also, fish is another thing that I'll add pesto to, just because I think it makes everything taste better. I also try to sneak it into salad dressings. So I'll do like anchovies in a Paleo Caesar dressing. I'll add the link to the one that I use in the notes, although it does have a raw yolk in it. So if you're just trying to stay away from that, you might want to find a different one to use. But that's another way to add some omega-3s in a tasty way. And you can kind of use that too as a sauce if you really like it. Sardines are another food that are super healthy for you, but they are harder to stomach for me right now. The main thing that I just do is I'll probably eat less of them. So I'll have like 2 instead of the 4 in the can. I'll usually just put Parmesan cheese over them, and that adds a little bit of flavor. And if I can't finish the can, I'll just split it with my son or give my cat the rest or something like that. But at least I'm getting some of it into my diet. I think a little bit is better than nothing. The other way that I get protein is yogurt. I don't usually have a lot of yogurt, but I'll have a little bit, maybe almost just an ounce. Throw some berries in there, and that is something that, can get me some great probiotics as well as some protein during the day. And I would say the biggest tip is to just try to eat several small meals throughout the day, or eat snacks, which is the next thing that I'll talk about. So snacks are something I really do try to optimize throughout my pregnancy, primarily because I can almost always eat if I really want to. And in order to not go straight for the bread or not go straight to something else that's really not as good for me, I like to have a lot of healthy snacks available and front and center if at all possible. So celery with peanut butter or almond butter is one of my go-tos. Carrots and hummus are great. My last pregnancy, the food that was heaven for me was either clementines or mandarins put in the fridge. That's what I could have just eaten all day and all night. It's super quick. You can just take them and go. So it's a great travel food. Nuts are another great thing to take on the run. One thing I do suggest if you're going to use a lot of nuts is to try to soak them. I'll put a link for, different soaking times, but one of the problems with certain nuts especially is they're filled with lectins, and you don't want to have a lot of lectins while you're pregnant, and soaking removes that. Now, if you're really into sweets and things that most likely aren't really good for you anytime, things like ice cream or potato chips, these are things that I just try to get the better versions of. So if I'm going to have ice cream, I'll try to go with coconut milk option or a low sugar option. But if it's a low sugar option, you also need to make sure they're not adding, aspartame or other really awful chemicals that are not good for you. When it comes to potato chips, I do caution you against regular potato chips. So if I'm going to buy something like this, I'll stick to either potato chips that have been in avocado oil or olive oil. I will make a video about this soon, about really why you want to avoid vegetable oil throughout your pregnancy. But this in particular, if you get normal potato chips, they're guaranteed to have trans fats, and you do not want to have trans fats in your diet. So try to spend and splurge a little bit more money and get something that's made in a better oil, at least while you're pregnant. Now, I'm finally coming to terms with the fact that it's fall. So this weekend, I'm going to go apple picking, and I'll probably experiment with some fun apple treats, some pumpkin spice treats, and hopefully I'll share those with you. So those are my tips for if you are losing your appetite and trying to incorporate just healthier options of even splurging items. So that's it. If you enjoyed this video and found it at all helpful, please hit the like button, and please subscribe if you want to get additional tips and tricks about staying healthy throughout your pregnancy. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.